Well, it has been great to be away, but it is always so good to be home. Oh, amen to that. Thank you for allowing, and shepherds, thank you for allowing Shannon and I to be away. I wanted to give my appreciation to those who have filled in while I have been gone. In our Real Faith, Don Milliken and Brute Wolf, and this past Sunday, Will Spoon. Just such a wonderful group of spirit-filled teachers to do more than an adequate, to in fact do an excellent job in filling the pulpit as I am gone. Had a wonderful time away in Europe, a great trip, went to places I never thought that I would be, in particular a place I never thought that I'd want to be. The last week we were in Russia and in Moscow, standing there in Red Square as we visited the Kremlin. In Russia, I don't mean to brag on myself, but I am quite the linguist. I can pick up on certain languages, and Russian is no different. In fact, here are some of the word phrases I wanted to share with you that I learned while I was in Russia. Here's one that may look, McDonald's. I can speak Russian. This next one's a little bit trickier. Krispy Kreme, they have that there, and so I survived. And then finally, KFC. Now KFC, you have to be careful, because when you say in Russian, I like some KFC, it is quickly associated with, take me to the KGB. And so I learned that one the hard way, but nevertheless, good to be home. We're going to begin our time in God's Word today with a prayer. And coming back from Russia, I brought back a friend, a pretty serious head cold. And so we're going to pray that God would work through this broken vessel and this sick vessel this morning. And my apologies to all of you that I shook your hand this morning. No, I'm on the downhill slide of it. So let's go to our Father in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you I thank you this morning for time away. Father, for gaining perspective again of how blessed we are. Father, for what you are doing in this place, what you have done in this family, with this family, through this family for so long. Father, love them, love them, love them dearly. And Father, I pray this morning that you would do nothing less than speak your word in the most powerful way possible to bring our hearts into line with your life-changing, hope-giving gospel, Father. Let your word be spoken. In Christ's name we pray, amen. So as a way of review, and if you're a guest here today, we have been making our way through the book of Ruth. Ruth chapter 1 by way of review. Naomi, sweetheart is her name, leaves Bethlehem due to a famine, goes to the land of Moab, and things go from bad to worse. She loses her husband. She loses 2 son-in-laws to death. She loses a daughter-in-law to one who walks away, and she hears things, a little bit of salt in the wound, are better where she left. And so she decides, back home to Bethlehem I'll go. But one daughter-in-law, Ruth, in Naomi's efforts to say, please stay, you'll be blessed. I'm accursed. My name is no longer sweetheart. It's Mara. It's bitterness. Ruth will have none of that, and she says, I'm going with you. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. I'm in this with you all the way. That's Ruth chapter 1. In chapter 2, they get back to Bethlehem, and things are looking up there. The barley harvest is underway. It's a time of celebration, but Naomi is still renaming herself. My name is bitterness, old hag, if you will. It's not just that things have gone bad. It is God himself whose hand is against me. But yet Ruth continues to provide and do what she can, and she comes across this one named Boaz. And the thing you need to know about Boaz, this man from Bethlehem, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. He is a man of, the Hebrew word is Gabor. He is a man of prayer. He is a man of power. He is a man of provision, and he is a man who protects. He is a man that other men should model their lives after. And one thing you really need to know about Boaz is, if that wasn't enough, in chapter 2 and verse 20, Naomi said to Ruth, this man, this Boaz that you've met and who has treated you well, this man is a close relative of ours. He is one of our redeemers. Different translations of the Bible would say he is one of our guardian redeemers. He is one of our kinsman redeemers. This comes from Leviticus 25, where, now listen closely, church, because about the time I get to Leviticus, people start going, whoa, we're really going there? In Leviticus 25, the Bible begins to whisper to those who would care to know what God's heart is all about. And this kinsman redeemer concept is this: when there's no way forward, when your best days are done, when the bottom has dropped out, God has a plan for you to move forward and have a future. God cares about you prospering and having a legacy and moving to places where truly you can always say, no matter what the case is, the best is yet to come. Amen. The word goel is used 22 times in the book of Ruth. That Hebrew word is the word redeemer. Now back in this time, it is the concept of you've lost your land. And when you've lost your land in an agrarian society, you've lost everything. You can't move forward. You can't be provided for. Your best days are not yet to come. They were in the past. But a close relative, a kinsman redeemer, a goel, steps forward, and he bears the brunt. He takes the sacrifice. He pays the cost so that the helpless can be helped. Let me say that one more time. A kinsman redeemer is one who finds those who need help and are helpless. And a goel says, you will be helped, but I will bear the cost. I will pay the price. I will take the beat down, the whoop down. I will take the sacrifice so that your best days can be, and in fact are truly, the best days are yet to come. This is the role God plays throughout Scripture. Previous to Ruth, when God's people are in bondage and slavery and at loss, God pays the price so that God's people can truly say, and this is why our title slide has been this. Go ahead and bring that up if you will. The gospel of Ruth. I thought gospel was in the New Testament. Gospel is not a New Testament word. At least it did not originate there. It is an old word that the New Testament commandeers. It is a word that was previous in play that says an event that changes everything. And the book of Ruth says there is gospel here. Because there is a God here who says, I'll be your kinsman redeemer. And the best is truly yet to come. And so we move to Ruth chapter 3. And in Ruth chapter 3 we have the proposal. It's a strange proposal. Because it is not so much Boaz saying, Ruth, will you marry me? It is more Ruth saying, Boaz, will you marry me? But at least let me propose that you propose. Have you encountered any strange proposals in your time? Back in the day, it used to be a man bought a ring, got down on a knee, and said, will you marry me? Now there's got to be a video photographer over in the bushes. There's got to be a horse involved. It's got to be spectacular. It's got to go viral on YouTube. And this is a way, guys have got a lot of pressure on them nowadays. So let me share with you how Matt asks Jenny to marry him. Now what he does, let me set the stage a little bit. Matt is at work. He can't make the movie and has some friends take Jenny to the movie. Well, he's rented out the theater and he's created his own trailer. And he's also got a camera on Jenny so we can see the live reaction. And he instructs the friend that as you take Jenny to the movie that's not a movie, to the theater that I've actually rented out, and there'll be a camera on her that she doesn't know about, go late and make sure it's good and dark, because everyone sitting behind you as you sit on the front row is actually going to be slouched down in the seats because they're all of our friends waiting to see what a strange proposal looks like. Here's how that proposal looks.
A love story so true, it couldn't have been written.
I know how much she means to you.
I know how much you love her. I know she is your heart.
There comes a time when every father lets his little girl go.
I just want you to know that I love her too, and I am by no means trying to steal her away from you.
To another man that loves her as much as he does.
I want to spend the rest of my life with her. She is my heart, my friend, my everything.
It's a story about two people who find true love right around the corner.
She is nothing like any woman I've ever met before, and everything I've always wanted and more.
That teaches us everyone out there does have a soulmate.
I want you to know that I'll protect her. I will honor and respect her and treat her the way she deserves to be treated.
And that every true love story isn't in the movies.
I didn't even know what real love is, but she is showing me and teaching me every day. It might be old-fashioned, it may not even be necessary, but it's important to me, and I know it's important to your daughter that I do this as well. I'd like to have your blessing, sir. May I have your daughter's hand in marriage?
You have my permission for a hand in marriage. I would love to have you as a son-in-law.
Coming this winter from Universal Studios, making the movies jealous.
What are you waiting for?
Let me just get a small pump. Since our second date, I've always said that we were going to be making the movies jealous. You mean everything to me, and I meant that. Will you give me the honor, and will you marry me?
Bravo.
Bit of a strange proposal going on there. Got to have that popcorn before you work up your strength and courage. Let's get into this strange, beautiful proposal right here. Ruth chapter 3 and verse 1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, should I not seek rest for you, that it may go and be well with you? Is not Boaz our relative, with whose young women you have been, who you were gleaning and picking up the harvest? See, he is now winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Now wash, therefore, and anoint yourself, and put on your cloak, and go down to the threshing floor. Okay, this is a Reba McEntire song. My apologies to anyone under the age of 45. This is fancy. Put on your red dress, get cleaned up, and go to town. And so she takes a bath, and she gets ready and fancy. Don't let me down. But once you get to that threshing floor, do not make yourself known to the man until he is finished eating and drinking. Now, I'm going to digress a little bit here. Ladies, this is men's biblical proof that when they're watching the game, you are to not interrupt them, okay? When they're eating and drinking with the remote control. Oh, no, okay, that's off. Anyway, but when he lies down, observe the place where he lies, then go and uncover his feet, and you lie down there, and he'll tell you what to do. And she replied, all that you say, I will do. And so to paraphrase the next few verses, she goes down just as instructed. She startles Boaz. No wonder. He's been working all day. He's been celebrating. His stomach's full. He's beat. The harvest is in. He's bedded down next to the harvest. Old-time bank account is right there. He's protecting it. And now he's startled, and as she's come to him and caught him off guard at night. And he said in verse 9, who are you? And she answered, I'm Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. And he said, may you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask. For all my fellow townsmen, everybody in town knows that you are a worthy woman. Same language used in Proverbs 31. You're the best of the best. And now it is true that I am a redeemer, yet there is a redeemer nearer than I. We want to do things right. And speaking of doing things right, you need to remain here tonight. And in the morning, if he will redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. So lie down over here until the morning. And you go, well, why is this such a good thing? You remember in about 4 generations, this guy named David will live in this same area. And he's got no problems whenever he wants to guard his sheep, killing lions and bears. So this is a protective statement here. It's nighttime. Don't go out. This is the wild wilderness. You stay here. So lie down until morning. So she lay at his feet until morning, but arose before she could be recognized by another. And he said, let it not be known that you came to the threshing floor. We don't want anyone gossiping, and anyone in a small town word travels fast. And he said, let it not be known that you came to the threshing floor. And he said, bring the garment you are wearing and hold it out. And so she held it out, and he measured out 50 pounds to 90 pounds, 6 measures of barley, and he put it in the shawl, and it lands on her shoulders. Then she went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, Naomi said, who are you? Now in your Bibles, that language may not appear like that, because some translators just cannot believe that Naomi would say to Ruth, who are you? Robert Frost said it is poetry that is lost in translation. And we need to understand in the original language right here, the word is, who are you? Because when Naomi sends out Ruth, she doesn't send her out for an evening. She sends her out for good. You will not be coming back, because I know how this is going to go with Boaz. And so as she is waking up, this is Ruth's second time to wake somebody up, the same answer comes. Who are you? Who are you? Oh, my daughter. Then she told her all that the man had done for her, saying, these 6 measures, this thing that I can barely carry of barley, he gave to me. For he said to me, you must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law. She replied, wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out. For I'm telling you something, this man will not rest, but will settle this matter today. Today, if you've got a handout on the back, is a sermon outline. And we've only got one takeaway today. We've only got one point to deal with. And in that one takeaway, I want to talk to you also about 3 characteristics, 3 behaviors, 3 actions that help bring that one takeaway God would have us take away today into fruition. Too many times today we define not only the world, but the church also falls into the fallacy of defining right living by avoiding wrong. Boaz does not participate in this style of thinking. Boaz does not define doing right and right living by simply avoiding wrong. This is not how a kinsman redeemer lives. Later, the brother of Jesus, the apostle or the church leader James, would say, this type of faith without good works is a recipe for death. And Boaz will not participate in any such living. Our one takeaway today is this: Boaz is about strategic righteousness. He is not about just avoiding wrong. He is not about avoiding sin only. He is not about haphazardly doing good when his heart feels like it. Boaz plans and calculates and prays and purposes his life to the end of strategizing how to do right to others. He is one who is proactive in bringing life-changing, hope-giving righteousness, a right way of living to others. Boaz plans and prays and purposes and lives daily, moment by moment, to bring gospel, good news, and hope to others. And brothers and sisters, this is the call to you and to me as disciples of Christ, and this is the call to this church. We are called to plan and pray and purpose our being towards the end of right living and blessing others. Now, how does the Bible say we bring that into fruition? How does the Bible say that we mark His Word so that we may live out the steps that brings a strategic righteousness to our spouses, to our neighbors, to our children, to our parents, in a way that brings gospel and good news and hope to others? The number one thing that Boaz does, number one, is he seizes the moment. We have seen Ruth do this time and time again in the first two chapters. In this chapter, Naomi, your advice seems a little bit odd. But whatever you say, I'll do it. And she seizes the moment. It is now Boaz who follows suit. I have talked about how Ruth has been seizing the moment. Let me for a moment talk about how Boaz does the same. Number one, he could have made an excuse. He could have said, Ruth, oh yeah, you are my servant, and henceforth I am your master. Come back in the morning. I know where you work. I know who you work for. Let's do this at another time. He could have procrastinated. He could have said, rightly so, I'm tired. He could have said, I haven't just been celebrating. I maybe celebrated a little bit too much. I've got some stuff to watch here. It's my livelihood, your livelihood. This is not a house of religion where you've really caught me, Ruth. This is the threshing floor. Hence, this is not just kind of a workplace. This is a workplace. So let's talk about this type of spiritual stuff at a spiritual time, in a spiritual place. Boaz will have none of that. He seizes the moment. Commentators are right in saying that Ruth has been the one acting up until this point, and it is Boaz who is responsive. Boaz is only speaking in response to what Ruth instigates. It is in chapter 3, one commentator says, that Boaz becomes a chatterbox, where he sees his moment to bless, and he will bless. He will talk about plans and prayers and purposes that he desires to come to fruition in the life of Ruth. He is one who seizes the moment. Today, modern vernacular would be, Boaz says, it is game on. I could be tired, we could do this later, but now is the time that I will act. He helps, he redeems, he brings hope, and he changes everything. You know, there are people in our church today that could make excuses. I look over, I see Kelly Owen over here. Kelly Owen, fantastically strong young man, high school wrestles, first state championship in wrestling in Fort Gibson history. And, you know, if you're a wrestler, you're in great shape. Move forward a couple decades, 1 stroke, 2 stroke, 3 strokes, 4 strokes, 5 strokes. Year ago, Brother Kevin finds him, has to get a neighbor involved, still recovering from a stroke. You know how Kelly spends his days? Calling the old preacher at our church saying, send me another round of stamps, of stationery, and of envelopes, and of fresh addresses of those who are members at our church, because what I want to do in the midst of recovering from this stroke is write encouragement letters to others. Kelly, would you stand real quick if you can? Kelly, go ahead and stand, brother. Give Kelly a hand. Church, you can make excuses all day long. You can, like Naomi, say, I'm going to be bitter. Things could have gone better. It appears that God's hand is against me. When I get to this place, then I'll do that. Or you can right now, in the midst of whatever mess and trial you're in, top of the mountain or bottom of the valley, seize the moment. You look around this room today. Honduras, let's start talking. More Honduras, El Salvador missions, New Orleans, Portland, Guyana Medical Mission. As soon as our closing prayer is done today, you can go over and you can begin to explore, seizing the moment. Well, I thought mission trips were for other people. You know, I've really never been on one. I'm not a mission trip type of person. Go tell Alan Trimble that when he goes down to Honduras. Well, when things get better one day, then I'll go. Or maybe right now you can be a redeemer. You can be one, well, I need the help. No, instead you say, I'm going to be the one who does help. How today will you seize the moment? Got a text while I was over in Russia. Not all my texts came through, but this one did. Donnie Stevens. Hey, Mitch, when can we get the stationery about the grand opening coming up October 14th? Donnie Stevens says, a bunch of the members of our church live in our neighborhood, and I want to coordinate that every household in our neighborhood is invited to come to our church. A month ago, I called Charlie Mahaffey, just checking in on him. Charlie, how you doing? Out of breath. Charlie, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, Mitch. Well, you sound a little winded. Yeah, I just got done going next door and then to the next door. What were you doing, Charlie? Inviting my neighbors to come to church. Church, when are we going to seize the moment? I've been waiting to invite a neighbor. I've been waiting. Take a note from a 94-year-old disciple who says, just inviting my neighbors to come to church. Seize the moment. Be a redeemer. Be one who helps. Number 2 thing about strategic righteousness. Invite God into the conversation. Notice Boaz's language. He's praying throughout this. It's knit into the fabric of his dialogue. May you be blessed by the Lord. I will surely act as the Lord lives. He can't talk without praying at the same time. You say, well, this is nothing new. The first words we have from Boaz, the first word he speaks in the entire story is a prayer to his workers. May the Lord bless you. And they're so used to it, they immediately respond back with a prayer. May the Lord bless you as well. And remember, he invites God into the conversation, into his day, into his dialogue over and over again. And none of this happens in a church house. None of this happens in the temple area. Boaz is always praying and inviting God into the conversation in the midst of his secular day. Because you see, with Boaz, there is no spiritual and there is no secular. There is no Friday night and there is no Sunday morning. It is all God. And he invites God into every bit of it. What would it look like this week? And I want to challenge you, in fact, right now. I want to challenge you this week to seize the moment. to invite God into the conversation. It's going to be awkward for some of you. It's going to be different for some of you. But it's going to be the new liberating step in your walk with Christ for all of you who decide to seize the moment and invite God into the conversation. Now let me give you a reality check. If you really seize the moment, and if you really invite God into the conversation, remember how chapter 2 ended out? Boaz prays over Ruth this prayer. May the Lord bless you fully, under whose wings you are seeking refuge. That's what Boaz says to Ruth. Now what does Ruth say to Boaz? What did we read moments ago? Spread your wings over me, for today you're the Redeemer. People who really want to work with God and for God and on behalf of God need to be prepared to be God's answer to prayers for others. You can't play this game. I want to seize the moment and pray for others and invite God into the conversation. And God, I want you to take your wings and cover them. And then the world that we're praying over goes, and I want your wings to cover me. The church needs to be prepared. Christians need to be prepared to be the answer to the prayers that they are praying. Ruth speaks of Boaz as Boaz speaks of God. You've got to be prepared to be the answer of prayers to others. Well, how do I do that, and what does that look like? Finally, number 3. In strategic right living, you got to be prepared to be generous. We talked about weeks ago, it is interesting in a book that does not mention or talk about the law, that Boaz doesn't fulfill the law. He exceeds the law every time. In a book that does not mention one iota of command or Torah or scriptural obedience to God, Boaz does not fulfill Scripture. He exceeds it at every turn. He is one who is extravagant and generous. Notice how, church, if you don't get anything else today, and you want to know what a beautiful, strategic, right living heart looks like, and how you seize the moment in gracious ways and invite God in the conversation, how is Ruth described every time up until this passage? Refugee, outsider, the bad word, racism, the Moabite. And what does Boaz say? My daughter. Does that sound somebody like we know that was also from Bethlehem in the New Testament? Daughter. That's what Jesus called people who were hurting. Daughter. He is gracious. He is kind. He exceeds the law. Notice what one rabbi points out. It is never good, today or back then, when a woman goes to see a man at night and she goes in one outfit of clothing and she returns in a small town with the same outfit of clothing. I guess we know where she's been and what she's been up to. But the rabbi points out, small town people don't talk like that when your shawl, your mantle, has been weighted down with blessing. 2 concrete sacks worth of barley. They don't notice what she's wearing anymore because all they notice is how she's been blessed all the more. He is one who is protecting physically. Don't go out, there's bears and there's lions. And he's also protecting emotionally. Notice how every male-female relationship up until Ruth deals with women having kids. Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob and Rachel. Well, we have to be married because there have to be kids. And we go, well, that's just Bible talk. Guess what Boaz never mentions? But instead talks of something to a woman that was not done at that time. Economic blessing. Boaz is so far ahead of himself, he's millennia ahead of where he should be. Well, how do you get there? You follow after one where time means nothing, and he's also millennia ahead of everyone. Boaz, the Redeemer, is modeling his life after the great Redeemer. And he is ahead of the game and head and shoulders over all those around him. In fact, he will bless Ruth so much that he goes home with take home for Naomi. And it is generosity where Naomi, who is bitter, now turns to hope. There may be hope after all. You have people in your life that need hope. And you are called to seize the moment, invite God into the situation, into the conversation, and be generous at a level. And back to that Robert Frost quote of poetry is the first thing that is lost in translation. The case is here with the ancient Hebrew. The poetry that we miss is this. When Boaz and God, the great Redeemer, are acting in ways that are profound, the world says this. Who is this? Who is this? No. You shouldn't be. Who is? What? Where? When? Why? Does this sound like anyone else from Bethlehem that will come later? That when he does things, disciples in a boat go, who's this? Who is this? The wind and the waves obey him. Church, I want to challenge you to bless someone at a level whereas you seize the moment, invite God into the conversation, and are generous, the world and your friends and your family and your neighbors are blessed at a level where they go, what's this? Who is this? Why? How? And they're flabbergasted and speechless at the blessings of Christ coming through you to them. This is what we read in Scripture. This is how Jesus rolled, if you will. This is how Boaz acted. Let me give you this one. Who do you need to finally forgive? Who do you need to forgive this week where they will on the phone go, who is this? What? No, what do you really want? Nothing. Well, they haven't deserved anything to receive my... They're helpless. And hence, you are going to help them. Who this week are you going to... You know the bill that needs to be paid. You know the car that needs to be given. You can't fit one into your garage anyway. You know the family that needs the encouragement note. You know the single mother that needs the help. You know the person in your life, the spiritual leader that is running on empty. And you hope that someone encourages them, but this week it's going to be you. This week you're going to be the one who pays the price, who takes the bump, who pays the cost, so that those who need help will be helped. Well, what's that look like? I'm thankful for the Oregon family. I'm thankful for Brett and especially for Tanya and her working relationship with one that I call Super Jen. Let's watch this video together this morning.
This is Anthony, and this is Nayeli. Anthony's 10. He's missing a chromosome. He has severe autism as well. So he's pretty special. He doesn't speak or walk. Nayeli's 7. You're not 13. She's 7. And I'm a single parent.
I work at the Panera Bread on 41st Street, and I work with Jennifer. I could see something in her that was searching. She knew of God. She didn't know a lot. And she wanted to know more. And she wanted it for not only for herself, but for her children, because she knew it was something that she needed.
I was getting really discouraged with finding a church that could help me with his needs as well.
I knew she would feel accepted here. I knew that she would feel loved, and I knew that she would come to know God through this congregation.
I remember the day she gave me Will Spoon's number, I just cried. Because I just knew that this was gonna work. I've just created a family, a church family there. I feel like I'm part of the family there. I'm just really blessed to have found them.
When it did happen, it was nice, a nice small group and intimate, and Jen was so excited, and it was just great.
We learn every day that Jesus never fails. In a world where not many things are that you can trust and know will always be there, Jesus Christ is. And we're excited that Jennifer's going to find that out.
Jen, where are you this morning? Right there. Go ahead, Jen. Stand up. There's Brett and Tanya right next to her. So in closing, go seize the moment. I'm not even going to ask you to do it this week. Today. Invite God into the conversation. Be generous where people say, I've got no category for what you're doing here. See, strategic righteousness does not beat around the bush with, well, I'll do no harm to them. It is grace-giving, life-changing, hope-giving. And for about the second you're like, Mitch, I hear all this, but I'm afraid this afternoon I'm going to go back to my old ruts and my old ways. And I don't know if you'll ever see a video of me doing anything like Tanya Organ did, and that's just not me. You need to go back and remember that you were the one that was helpless, that you were the one that was done. And another one came from Bethlehem, and he decided to seize the moment at a moment where you were helpless and had no chance. And he invited God into the conversation. And he was generous at a level when he stretched out his arms on the cross and he gave his life for you. Remember that. Be motivated by that. Be filled with the Spirit in that. And today, may your life be one that is strategically righteous towards others. If you have not done what you saw Jennifer doing in that video clip of giving your life to the one who wants to give his life for you, today can be the day. Today can be the day where you seize the moment, you invite God into the conversation, and allow His generosity to overwhelm you in baptism. As your close relative, your kinsman redeemer, God comes into your life, and the best is truly yet to come. Today, if we can pray for you, today will you come as we stand and as we sing.